Welcome to another Deep Dive, listeners. This time, we're taking a journey, but not just any journey. We're trekking through Middle-earth to uncover the spiritual depths of The Lord of the Rings.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how this story, a fantasy epic, still manages to resonate with readers on such a profound level.
Absolutely. We've been looking at some really intriguing sources that explored just that why this story continues to grip us, even after we finish reading it.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got your own history with Tolkien, right?
Definitely.
But get ready for some surprises, because, trust me, we're about to uncover some really unexpected layers.
What I find so interesting is that Tolkien himself never intended for The Lord of the Rings to be some kind of direct allegory.
Right.
Yet you can't deny the powerful themes woven throughout the narrative.
Exactly, and that's what we're diving into today, those deeper meanings, like the struggle between good and evil, which, let's be honest, isn't exactly subtle. But here's the thing, it's not that black and white, good versus evil kind of fairy tale that we often encounter. Our sources really make that distinction.
And that's what makes Tolkien's work so compelling, right? He doesn't shy away from the complexities. He shows us that even the so-called good guys grapple with temptation. Look at Boromir, this noble warrior, practically royalty, but the ring, that pull of power, it's almost too much for him to bear.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? I mean, that internal struggle, wanting to do good, but also feeling that pull, that ambition, that desire for power. Where's the line? When does ambition become something less heroic?
Exactly. And on the flip side, you have Frodo and Sam. Oh, absolutely. They represent such a different side of that struggle. Their journey, just like lugging that thing to Mordor with the ring, like whispering promises every step of the way.
It's brutal.
It's a powerful reminder that even the smallest choices can have huge consequences.
And that's where I think Tolkien's own faith subtly peeks through, don't you think?
I see that, yeah.
The way he portrays evil, Sauron, this ultimate evil, the big bad, he can't create anything truly good or original.
That's right.
He can only twist, corrupt what already exists.
It's almost like there's this inherent goodness, wouldn't you say, that evil can manipulate but never fully extinguish.
Absolutely. Think about the ring itself. It acts as this amplifier. It takes what's already inside a person, those desires, those fears, and magnifies them.
Right, right. It doesn't create something new. It just distorts what's already there. And just like the way he depicts Sauron, this disembodied evil, it's not something you can just whack with a sword and call it a day.
No, it's far more insidious, like a poison that seeps into everything.
Precisely.
And let's be real, in the real world, evil rarely shows up with like a booming voice and a goatee, right?
Right.
It's subtle. It's those little compromises, the temptations we barely even recognize. So if even these epic heroes, these noble characters in Tolkien's world can be tempted, it really begs the question, where's our breaking point? Would it take for any of us to be seduced by that power, even with what we think are good intentions?
And that's where things take a really interesting turn, wouldn't you say? Because when you think about it, how do you combat that kind of insidious evil?
Right. It's not always so clear-cut.
Exactly. Our sources highlighted something kind of unexpected, almost subversive for a story as epic as this one Tolkien. Tolkien seems to be saying it's humility that really matters.
That's interesting. You'd think it would be like courage, right? Or maybe brute strength.
Yeah.
Especially in a world with magic swords and giant eagles.
Yeah, you'd expect that, wouldn't you? But Tolkien flips the script. There's something more powerful at play here.
So it's not just about wielding power. It's about what? Restraint? Understanding?
Exactly. Think about Gandalf, right? This incredibly wise and powerful wizard, capable of these incredible feats, but he doesn't go around throwing his weight around.
That's true.
He chooses to guide, to nudge, rather than control.
And then, of course, there are the hobbits. At first glance, you wouldn't think they'd last 5 minutes in this world.
They seem so ill-equipped to deal with, well, any of it.
And yet, it's their love for the simple things, their connection to home and community, that ends up being their biggest strength.
Powerful, isn't it?
Really makes you think. It reminds me of that line from Gandalf, when he's talking about Bilbo sparing Gollum's life. He says, "Pity. It may rule the fate of many."
Wow.
Even when things are at their darkest, a small act of compassion can have unimaginable ripple effects.
It really makes you stop and think about your own choices, doesn't it? We often underestimate the significance of those everyday decisions.
Totally. In a world obsessed with being big and loud and important, Tolkien seems to be saying, hold on a minute, what about the quiet, persistent good? That matters more.
I love that. It's such a powerful message. And it really challenges us, doesn't it? Where in our own lives do we see those unsung acts of goodness having an impact? Where do we see those ripples?
And here's the thing. Tolkien doesn't shy away from how difficult those choices can be, how heavy things can get. Look at Frodo. He's carrying, like, the weight of the world on his shoulders, literally and figuratively.
It's no wonder he breaks down.
There are moments when he just crumbles under the pressure. Think about that scene, Frodo on the slopes of Mount Doom. He's utterly defeated, ready to give up, to just let it all go.
Heartbreaking, isn't it?
But then Samwise Gamgee, he refuses to give up on Frodo, on their mission. It's his unwavering loyalty and belief in Frodo that gets them moving again, inch by agonizing inch.
Oh, man, that scene gets me every time. It just speaks to the power of friendship, of having someone there to remind you of your own strength, even when you can't see it in yourself.
It really drives home this idea that hope isn't just some, like, passive feeling you have or you don't. It's a choice. It's an active choice you make.
I like that. Yeah.
It's not about pretending the darkness isn't there.
Yeah.
It's about choosing to see that glimmer of light, however faint it might be, and just keep moving towards it.
So powerful.
So as we each face our own mortars,
right,
whatever form they take in our lives,
and we all have them,
Tolkien challenges us. Where do we need that same keep going spirit?
Yeah.
Because it's a decision we make every single day.
It takes a toll, though. You know, even when you make that choice to fight the good fight, Tolkien really makes you feel the weight of those decisions. It's not all sunshine and rainbows.
It's true. The sources we've been looking at, they really highlight that concept of sacrifice.
Yeah.
And not necessarily in that, like, epic, heroic way that we might imagine.
No, not at all. It's deeper than that.
It's the everyday sacrifices, right? The quiet moments when you have to give up something you love for something bigger than yourself.
Exactly. Like Frodo, right? He saves the day, saves the entire world, but he doesn't emerge unscathed.
Right. He's forever marked by that experience.
He can't even go back to the Shire, the same hobbit he was. It's a bittersweet victory.
Definitely. Makes you think about those classic happily ever after endings in a whole new light.
Absolutely, because in reality, even triumph can come at a cost, and Tolkien doesn't shy away from that.
Not one bit. And it's not just Frodo. Think about Aragorn. He could have easily chosen a quiet life for himself,
living out his days in peace.
Instead, he accepts his destiny, embraces that responsibility of becoming king, of leading an entire kingdom.
He gives up his own desires for the greater good.
Which brings up another point our sources discussed. True leadership, true responsibility, it almost always requires some degree of personal sacrifice.
It's that quiet heroism that Tolkien captures so well. And speaking of unexpected heroes, our sources even brought up Gollum.
Oh, yeah. Gollum, that poor, twisted creature utterly consumed by the ring.
And yet, he still plays a crucial role in its ultimate destruction.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is Tolkien suggesting that even those we might consider lost or beyond hope can still have a part to play in something larger than themselves?
It's a powerful idea. It really challenges our perceptions of good and bad. Makes you think twice about writing people off, doesn't it? Maybe their influence on big outcomes is greater than we realize.
Whoa. Deep thoughts for a Tuesday afternoon. So if Tolkien believed that even Gollum, as twisted as he was, had a role in the ultimate redemption, does that change how we view those we perceive as bad in our own world? Could their influence on the grand scheme of things be more significant than we realize? Something to ponder, listeners, as you wander through your own Middle-earth this week. And with that, we conclude our deep dive into the spiritual depths of The Lord of the Rings. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and until next time, happy reading.